Hello, hello, everyone, listeners of Align with Your Dharma. I am so excited today to talk to you, to bring in new information that is new to me and share it with you all. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Happy, healthy, and a prosperous New Year. I want to wish that to you all. And today I have a wonderful guest who's very knowledgeable, who's a coach as well, and who is a transformational coach. So, this individual is the founder and the CEO of Linda Downey Coaching. Now, you know who this person is. Um, and Linda is a functional health-based transformational coach, and she is committed to empowering women who are committed to live a joyful life, free of stress, overwhelm, or fear. And because those are the stress, the overwhelm, and the fear are the things that lead to chronic health issues. And so she helps empower those women so they can experience joy and everything that is associated with the joy, right? And she is a functional diagnostic nutritionist practitioner. So we'll talk about that, what she does and what are all the tools she uses, because I know she has lots of tools from the field of neuroscience, transformational psychology, mindfulness. And so we'll talk about that. And I am so excited that Linda is also a heart math practitioner, a whole life coach, and she uses energy modalities to heal or help the women's body heal themselves. So, without further ado, welcome, Linda. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in today and talk to the listeners of Align with Your Dharma. Welcome,
Oh,
welcome, welcome.
thank you so much. That was a wonderful introduction, and I am equally as excited to be here with you and to start the new year off, right? Like it's a new year, so we all have a sense of possibility and what's going to unfold as the year comes, and to have this conversation right at the beginning is just a gift to me. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Um, so I'm going to ask you, what made you want to focus on this to empower women? Because I am an empowerment coach, and that's what drove me and aligned me with talking to you. So, what got you started? What drew you, or how did you align with this purpose of starting this business of yours? And describe your journey for me that brought you to this point, please.
Yeah, sure. It's a great question, and I bet a lot of people who do the kind of work that you and I do would answer it similarly. And it is my own life journey, my own struggle, my own um, up and down with health. So I'll just tell you a little bit about that.
Mhm.
So I have always been interested in health and wellness since a teenager. I played sports, I was active. I have a master's degree in exercise physiology, and I was one of the most unhealthy wellness people you could find. I struggled with energy and fatigue. I struggled with migraine headaches. I had digestive issues. And starting in my 20s, I had multiple diagnosis of autoimmune conditions, one and then another and then another. And I did all the things that, doctors told me. I went to doctors, I had prescriptions for my migraines, thyroid autoimmune disease. I've had both Graves and Hashimoto's, which are on the opposite ends of the spectrum, right? And I had both. And at some point, my commitment to my health, I was so puzzled. Like, why can't I get better? Why is there another health issue showing up? And so, let me also, alongside, parallel to that, what was happening in my personal life. I have a daughter who passed away in 2019.
Oh,
And
sorry to hear that.
yeah, thank you. She was 15 years old, and she had been born with a heart anomaly, but then that just snowballed into just a lot of catastrophic big health. She needed a kidney transplant, she had a stroke, she had two open heart surgeries, and then she got cancer when she was 8 years old from her immunosuppression from her transplant. So
Mm.
paralleling my health journey, I also have a son, but my daughter in the hospital all the time, and I'm trying to learn everything that I can learn to help her. And the stress of that, so I just want to emphasize that because we're going to get to the stress impact on our health. But as I started to learn more, I went back to school. First, I went to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition to find out how I could help her food-wise with her body and her immune system. What was so interesting, this is just a side note, Aruna, but what I was learning in the functional health world, the hospital knew nothing about. So they're pumping into her processed dairy formula. And
Wow.
I'm learning about, right, that's what she was on. She was on a feeding tube. And I'm learning about all of the things that keep us inflamed and keep us sick. So it was this dance of how do I help her as a mother? And my gut and my instinct are telling me a lot of the things that she was receiving. And listen, I love her doctors, and they certainly saved her life in really big catastrophic times. But the wellness knowledge of long term, what's the impact of just dairy and processed dairy out of a can, no less.
Mm.
Right. So I learned that, and then I was like, I need to learn more. And as I was learning that, my motivation for her, I started to apply it to myself and what my doctors had never told me about my thyroid, and how I could support thyroid function other than just taking the prescription. So I continued on that road. That was in like 2012, I would say early 20 teens. And I went back to school again and became an FDN, which is a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, because I thought to myself, if I can see a difference, because I started to implement what I learned and my body shifted and my symptoms started to dissipate, I thought there's women all over the place who don't know what they could be doing for themselves. Now, at that time, I was interested in working with women, A, because I am a woman, and B, because those kinds of chronic health issues mostly show up in women, the thyroid disease, the fatigue, right? The chronic and the headache. Certainly men get things like that too, but it's predominantly women. So at that time, that was my motivation. Since then, in my own journey and understanding energy and the way that we're connected and how we are here on this earth, my perspective of women is women are the holders of the space of the family. Women are the nurturers. Women are the emotional, um, how do I want to say, like weather rod. Is that the right word? Like the emotional rod, and the nuances of how a woman goes will ripple out into her family. And I think when a woman is whole and healthy and healed, it's so much more impactful for our entire community. But I didn't get to that conclusion that early, but that's where I am now. So that's why I started with women. And the FDN credentials allowed me to run certain testing that I didn't have to go back to medical school for, but I would learn how to do the tests, how to interpret them, and then what to
Mm.
do with them. And it was looking at, food sensitivities or gut microbiome health. And those are all the physical strategies of how to help your body. What's behind the physical strategies is the energetics, right? The energetics of resentment, the energetics of anger, the energetics of, if you give and give and give of yourself and you never nurture self, what that does. And also the energetics and what's in the nervous system from past experiences. I could use the word trauma, but past experiences that we store and hold in our nervous system and in our emotional bodies. So my journey and my interest and my success grew in going in that direction. And that's really what I do now.
Wow.
It was a long
Wow.
answer.
No, I mean it's the experience that you had, like you said, the trauma that you had, you use that as a tool to learn, you know, whatever you wanted to learn to help yourself, to help your daughter, and to help other women down the road. That is profound.
Thank you. I didn't know held trauma was the root cause. I didn't know at the time.
Yeah,
I just turning over the next rock and turning over the next rock.
yeah.
And what do I need to feel? And I didn't even really mention this to you, but my personal life, my sense of joy was missing. My
Mm.
relationship, my primary relationship was a catastrophe. And when I say to you, my first autoimmune diagnosis came in my 20s, so
Wow.
that's before a lot of this showed up. So where did that come from? And I grew up in a household of alcoholism. I grew up in a household where my mother was very sick when she was pregnant with me, and she died when I was very, very young, just a couple of years old. And so that set the stage, right? The mother wound, alcoholism, traumatic childhood. I was dealing and coping with that well before my children were born and all the things. That really set my stage. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
man. You have to heal yourself first from all of that before you can even think of helping others. So you were balancing it very nicely, learning to take care of yourself, learn why this is happening, and then help others. Would you say
Yeah. And
that was like motivator for you, or was it your daughter's health that was motivating you?
it was both. And I'm going to say mine first.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely, my daughter. But she had issues that I knew I could never impact, right? Like I can't change the anomaly of her heart structure. I can't change that she needed a kidney transplant, right? So those were certain things, and that was her journey. That was her contract with God, in my opinion. That was what she signed up to experience. And I think because of her and being her mother, that was her gift to me to say, Mom, keep going in the direction you're going. And I'm here to show you why this is so important. And I just had a commitment to myself to, like, I don't want to live life this way. This isn't what life is supposed to be.
Mm, wow. Um, so that I was going to ask, what is the greatest challenge you had to overcome? Would you say, um, was it your health journey or was it your daughter's that was the greatest challenge that you had to overcome?
Well, I'm going to answer that a little bit differently than how you posed it. I'm going to say the greatest challenge to overcome was the resistance to surrender.
Ah, wow.
Yeah, when you can surrender completely and give up the thought of trying to control, and you move into acceptance and surrender, which is, I think, one of the hardest things that human beings face, right? Because our
Yeah.
ego wants to keep controlling and all the things. But when you can do that and overcome that hurdle, then it doesn't matter whether it's my health, my daughter's health, my marriage, financial, it doesn't matter. You apply that everywhere. And I wanted to say, just a real quick before I forget, I don't think healing ever ends. It's not like I'm healed. Like there's always the next thing to peel back. There's always, something just happened recently in the last week in my life, and it brought up an impact in my body that I hadn't thought about for decades.
Yeah.
Right? So there's stuff there, and I think we're supposed to keep looking and keep accepting and keep peeling back until our very last day.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. You're an amazing individual. And I'm so glad you said that, because that is so true. The resistance to surrender. Yes, it whether it is the ego or sometimes, well, I guess it is the ego, because sometimes we think, oh yeah, I can handle it, like Hercules, right? Handle the whole thing. And then, what is the point where we think like, you know what? I'm just going to completely surrender either to God, light, universe, whatever you want to call it. But once we surrender, then everything is like, oh, here it is. And it becomes so easy. It can be the smallest tool, but only when we surrender, that happens. And so thank you for
Yeah.
bringing that up. That is so true. What did you gain by surrendering, in your opinion, to that,
Uh,
instead of resisting, surrendering to God?
peace,
Mm. Mm.
peace, and grace and compassion, because, and I don't know about what you think, but when I look around the world right now, I'm not seeing a lot of grace and compassion for each other. I'm not seeing a lot of peace. I'm seeing a lot of I'm right, no, I'm right, butting heads globally, politically, in the medical field, in education, and compassion and grace and acceptance. When we hold that, there's just an ease that we can move through. So if I surrender to this is what's so, instead of trying to control, it should be another way, or, I want something else to be so, I can now manage myself around what is so. What do I need to do? Who do I need to be in the face of that, rather than fighting and trying to make it be a different way?
Beautiful. Yeah, that is so true. When you said you are not seeing grace, compassion, and acceptance and peace, yes, I want to add, sometimes we don't give grace, compassion, and acceptance to ourselves. Forget
Exactly.
about others, right? Sometimes we are like, oh, I need to do this. And I've noticed sometimes I don't give myself enough grace. And then I'm like, Aruna, it's okay. If things don't go the way
Yeah.
it is planned, it is okay. Or if I want to do 1 through 5 and I've accomplished only one, it is okay. At least I accomplished that one, or even half the task, half of
Yes.
one. And, instead of thinking like, oh, I had 5 on the list, I didn't even complete one, it is okay, because, like you said, that causes stress when I'm thinking, oh yeah, I didn't finish, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I barely completed one, then it adds additional stress, and then I'm internalizing that stress, and then it shows up and affects our health and everybody around us. And so totally true. And I totally agree. Grace and compassion and acceptance will give us peace. And that happens when we surrender. So it's like a positive loop rather than negative loop, right? When we don't surrender, then we don't give grace to us, we don't give compassion, we are not compassionate with us, and we don't accept who we are. And yeah, it does not help, and it causes stress and chaos. And so when we were talking earlier, you said it causes metabolic chaos. So, um, and you also mentioned you do healing codes. Is that part of an energetic modality that you do? I haven't heard of it. So would you mind sharing?
Oh, yeah, sure. I would love to, but I just want to say one last thing about that topic before we segue off. First of all, I mean, yes, there are places in the world where there's compassion and grace and acceptance, right? It's just overwhelmingly what I see, I think we're moving into that. But the same voice in your head that is going to be judging others is judging yourself. It's the same voice. So when
Absolutely.
you stop judging yourself, you also stop judging others. And that I think is so, so powerful. So I just wanted to complete that thought. But yeah, healing codes. So this is so interesting. A few years back, I got connected with someone, and They did, so if you're not familiar, your listeners, with energy and energy modalities, we are made up primarily of energy. We think we're this solid matter, but so much more of us is energy. And everything in this universe, it's an energetic universe. It's all frequencies, and that's how things get defined and get created, through the energetic frequencies that exist. So years ago, I had the blessing of having some of my energy read, and it was so interesting because it was just a picture of myself and a voice recording, just saying my name is Linda, like one sentence. And through that, I got a multiple page email back that was so beyond accurate about my autoimmune conditions, that I held anger, that I was holding a lot of anger. And you wouldn't know it to talk to me, but it was in me.
Mm,
Um, so it talked about certain sound frequencies to listen to help the cells at a cellular level
mm-hmm,
re reshift and release
mm,
some of, and so there was sound, there was multiple different ways, and I jumped on it wholeheartedly. That person reconnected with me like a day or two later and said, "Hey, have you ever heard of healing codes?" Now, let me tell you, this was totally free. This was like, I didn't have to pay any money. This was from his heart to mine. This is what I see about you. This is what I think would make a difference. So I dug into finding out what healing codes are. And healing codes, so the code is a particular way that you use your hands. If you were to take your hands and rub them together and then hold, you can feel energy moving between your hands, right? You can feel that. It's like this invisible squishy ball. That's all the energy coming out of our hands, which are very powerful. You take your hands and you hold them at different places, pointing to your body, and it creates, just like the two hands here, it creates an arc um, of energy that people can then move energy through their body. So the code is specific to the person, specific to the issue. If it's a custom code, there's also some universal codes to help where we've been stuck from, again, past experiences, misinterpretations about ourselves. So that's the moving of the energy. At the same time, we use prayer. You don't have to be Christian. I happen to use the word God when I do the prayer, or when I do we call them truth statements. So you're rewiring how you think while you're managing your energy. And we say a prayer and ask for healing from whatever source you want to think of it: God, love, universe. And then we focus on one thing at a time, and we move the energy through, and we keep doing that and practicing it throughout the day. It might only take 6 minutes, 8 minutes, and you do it a few times throughout the day. So I started to do that myself after I got that recommendation. I got a healing codes coach. I spent about a year and a half
mm,
working on my thyroid function, working on my heart, where my heart was broken from different things. My daughter, was the end of her life. And I worked on all of that. And then I saw tremendous changes in my body and my view of the world. So I decided to become a healing codes coach, and that's the whole life coaching there, that you saw in my bio. I went through
mm,
I went through their advanced training, um, and now I do that with clients, and I teach them how to do a universal code. I also do custom codes for them.
mm. Um, how long is a typical session for you to teach them the universal code and then teaching them custom code?
I mean, to teach them is not long at all, because I will, on my time, so a session would look like, Aruna, what do you want to work on? Is there something in your physical body? Is there something in your life circumstances? Maybe it's depression, maybe it's headaches, maybe it's back pain, maybe it's your relationship with your spouse or your partner, or a child.
Mm,
Maybe it's success, whatever. What's the thing you want to work on? Then we do some coaching around what your experience is of that particular thing, what emotions come up for you.
Got it.
So when you think about your relationship with your child, what comes up?
Mm.
Sadness. What comes up? Betrayal. I don't know. I'm making this up, right? But so we do a little coaching around the emotions. And then I go and create the custom code, if it's a custom code. So that means I do some work on my end to understand energetically where you need to move, where you're stuck. I create the code, I record it, and I give it back to you. And I just tell you how to do it, and then you do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's
And
audio recording.
I do an audio recording so people can follow. They don't have to follow my voice. They can just listen to it once. So you can do the points, the code of moving energy silently. You don't have to say those truth statements. I believe, especially because of the other like neuroprogramming that I do, I believe that's really helpful. So I'd use them together. But you could just say a prayer, ask for healing, the goal is to get in the frequency of love into your body. Love is the frequency that heals us. Love is the frequency, the energy that we all came from. Source energy is love. So you can get love into your body any way that works. You can be quiet and you can just focus on moving the energy through while you're holding feelings of love, if that works for you. Or you can listen to my recording.
How long is normally the recording that you send to your clients?
15 minutes, 20
Mm,
minutes. And that will have some instruction, like I'll record, okay, Aruna, this is going to be your code. These are the hand positions. We're going to walk through it. I'm going to tell you when to move your hands, and I'm going to say these truth statements. And then you can do it on your own, or you can listen every time. Here we go. And I start with the prayer, then I go
mm.
through so like that.
Okay, and then you follow up, with the client or the client follows up with you.
Well, typically, I can and have done just healing code work. Like that's it. Somebody reaches out to me, they want a healing code around anxiety or something else, and I create the code. Boom, you're on your own. I'll check back in with them. How's it going? Or they might be like, I see a real improvement. I'd like to keep working. Maybe we do another code around the same issue. Like we've moved it, but now we need to like keep moving it. Or they want to do something else. But mostly I use it as part of all of the coaching that I do with my clients. So it's one tool that I use, but I can do healing codes in and of itself alone.
Okay. Okay. Um, and then where do you implement the FDN, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner? Where do you apply that?
So I don't really do the diagnostic testing anymore because what I found was, in my opinion, those are the physical strategies, and the work that I'm doing now is really below that. And I would rather go there with people. And then if, I refer them to colleagues that I've had. I mean, I could do it if somebody really wanted me to, but this is so much funner than reading stool tests.
That's true. I've
So,
done that. So yes, exactly. Yeah.
right? So I like to focus here, but in that training, yes, we did a lot of work on the testing, but we also did a lot of work on circadian rhythm and sleep. We did a lot of work on the nervous system. So I still use a lot of that training. I just don't do the testing in the way that I used to.
Hmm. I totally resonate with that because I do the sound bowls, I create the meditations, and sometimes I combine, well, sometimes I just do the sound bowls and use different tuning forks with different frequencies. And so when you said frequencies, I was like, oh yeah, that is beautiful. And sometimes I combine that with the hypnosis meditation. It's just magical when you combine the frequency that is going to help you, that is going to help the person you're working with the intention to help their body heal, right? So totally understandable. And I totally resonate with what you're saying. Um, and do you create the frequencies yourself when you said you were working with the
No, no, I'll tell them, like 417 is the frequency for negative thoughts. And that's what I was told, like when I first got introduced to this work, and he was like, you have a lot of anger. I remember being 6 years old and being really angry, like, and holding that because of what was going on in my house. So when he said, I see a lot of anger, I was like, yeah, so do I, you know? So I listened, like he got my attention by his clarity of what he saw about me. So he said, you need to listen to 417. I'm like, got it. And I would just play 417 while I was cooking in my office and
Mm.
just listen to it. It's so interesting though, Aruna. My kid's dad, we're not together anymore, but we're good friends. He knew a lot of this. I was so into what do I need to do? I need to take her to therapy. We need a blah, blah, blah. But he knew a lot of prayer and frequency. When she was getting dialysis, he would type up phrases from the Bible, healing phrases. Jesus says, fear not, just about fear, and he would tape them on the dialysis bag so that the words were going into the fluid into her body. Now, some people might hear that and go, "Okay, that's loony," but
So he
it's
would
not me.
tape it to the bag?
Yeah, so that's like a bag hanging on an
Yes,
IV
yes,
pole
yes,
coming into her body. He
yes.
would type up these words and he would put them. Did you
Oh,
ever hear of
wow.
Dr. Emoto, the water, the hidden meanings in water? Have you ever heard of that? Oh, you're going to want to get this book. It's like this skinny. You could read it today.
Okay.
Dr. Emoto was a Japanese doctor, and he did a lot of research around water. And he would take water, same origin, take a scoop out and a scoop out in two different containers. One container, he would speak lovingly to the water. The other container, he would say, I hate you, you're stupid. And then he would look at the molecules of water under a microscope. And the one that he spoke lovingly to looked like, when you see beautiful snowflakes, right? Like beautiful geometric patterns, symmetrical. The water molecules that were spoken to badly got dark, brown, twisted, no beauty.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
so Mike, my husband at the time, he found these passages that were all about trusting and no fear and healing. And he put them on the bag of dialysate so that the power of those words would go into the fluid. My girl wasn't supposed to live a year. She lived 15. And doctors were often like, I don't know, Linda. I don't know how like they would be like that. And this is how I believe. But even when she was a baby, an infant, he would put headphones on her and play Mozart. Mozart in particular has whatever is the geometry or the symmetry of the notes. And then we would also do 528, which is for healing and for love.
Okay. Wow. Whew. I got so emotional just listening to it.
Thank you.
And thank you for affirming, and I appreciate that. Whew. Okay. And thank you for sharing. And when you said your daughter, when she was born, she was told she would not live even a year, and she lived up to 15. And and oh, it's affirming to know that the frequencies, because the words we speak has a frequency, it has an energy. How we talk and how we move has a frequency, and so totally understandable. And when you said your partner who you were married to would type in those words and stick it to the dialysis bag. It's the intention with which we speak and we take action. It matters, right? And his intention combined with the that's the reason, that is the reason, the intention with which he wrote is what is created that frequency, and he attached it to the dialysis. And people might say, yes, it is loony or whatnot, but if it helped that individual live from the time that she was born to the time she passed away, that's all pure love. And so thank you for sharing. That means so much. And thank you for affirming. And when you said it has different structure, when the doctor, you said Hidden Meanings of Water is the name of the book.
Yeah, if you do Dr. Emoto, Emoto, and
Okay.
water, hidden meanings, I think there's a couple of them, but the hidden meanings of water, I believe, yeah, you'll see. So
Yeah.
interesting.
And when you said, the when he spoke to one bowl of water, or one container of water, excuse me, the energy is flowing for sure because I'm coughing. Uh, um, so when he spoke to that water with love versus the other water with hatred, it changed the structure of
That's right.
the molecules. And so that's when I teach sacred geometry, I add the alpha sounds because it creates a different frequency versus just no alpha sounds, or that stimulates your alpha brain waves. Now it makes total sense. So thank you
Yeah.
for affirming, to me and to the listeners, of Align with Your Dharma. Yes. Okay. Whew. Um, that took me
Thank you
to a
for
whole
the
other realm.
Thank you for the opportunity to share, my story and where it all came from. And it is huge. I feel like Charlotte, my daughter's name was Charlotte. I feel like she was my biggest teacher. Certainly there were many things starting from losing my mother when I was little that were teaching me. And we get the opportunity to learn the lessons, and we either will or we won't, or they'll keep showing up. But she was my biggest teacher, and I appreciate that I could use this platform to share some of that.
Absolutely. And thank you for going there. And so let me ask you this. You have lived a wonderful life, in my opinion, changed yourself, and you're using those things that whatever you learned those learnings, and then you're moving towards helping others through your journey. Do you have any regrets at all?
No.
Beautiful.
Excuse me. No, because even if I said, oh, I wish I learned things sooner, it only can go how it's supposed to go. It will only
Absolutely.
unfold exactly, when we are ready. And there's people, when I'm sharing my stuff on social media, some people 100%, oh my God, I get this. Some people are like, you know, whatever, not that. They're the opposite of that. But people only hear things in their own consciousness level and the way that they can see and perceive the world. So that was me. I could only learn and understand things as I went through my journey. So to spend any effort regretting is a waste of effort, right? It's really, I believe, when we can just honor exactly how it is, that was the story that was supposed to happen. That's where I want to stand.
Beautiful. Okay. Um, what is one thing that others value, but you do not value?
Mm, the opinion of other people that I don't even know. Like, am I doing my life the way other people think I should be?
That you
And
do not value?
I stopped caring about that. Like, even there, I'll just give an example, but so you and I think, are both on social media, right? We use the social media platforms to promote what we do. And several years ago, I did care about that. And somebody would post a comment, uh, whatever it would be, and it would be hurtful, like just a
Mm,
nasty. And I used to get like, like it would, now I'll see a comment and I'll go, oh, poor thing, look how they're going through life. Like, I don't care.
yeah.
It'll be a comment that's personal too. Like, I do a lot of early morning with my cup. I'll say grab a cup, and I do early morning. It's like 5:30 in the morning oftentimes. So I look like I just got out of bed because I did. And somebody will say, what's wrong with you? Take a shower. I've had people say, take a shower. And I'll just go, oh, poor thing. Like, they're just already out there looking for. But in the past, that would have upset me. Oh, maybe I shouldn't do it this way. Maybe I'm supposed to have like my hair and makeup done and do it in the middle of the day. No, I like doing it early in the morning. It's my thing. You don't like it, don't watch. That's all.
Yes, yes. So you're basically saying stop people pleasing and stop
Yeah,
worrying about opinions of others. Yeah, I totally understand and agree because I used to be all into people pleasing. Oh, I want to make sure, this is done exactly how they want it to be.
yeah. Even with my clients, back when I first started working, if they weren't getting results, I had it be about me. And now
Mm,
I understand that I know what I do and I know it makes a difference and I know the impact because I've had, many, many, many people have great results. When somebody isn't having great results, and then I can stop and go, well, how did they participate? How often were they on a call? Let me look in my program and see how far did they progress. And 100% of the time, like, they didn't show up in some way, they didn't share something that I could have made a difference on, but they didn't actually do the work. So I get that now. It's not on me to make sure everybody else is does their thing. They're going to do it the way they do it. What's my job is to make sure I show up as best as I can and I provide what I know I can. That's
thank
it.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, the results others get from our coaching, it is not based on how we coach. As long as we are coming from a place of love and being our excellent self, it's whatever they bring in, that
Exactly.
is based on that, the results they will receive. Yes, absolutely. So I know you are on um, social media platforms. So just so the listeners, when they're listening, how can they reach out to you? What is the best way?
Thank you. Well, my email is linda@lindadowneycoaching.com. So that's pretty easy. And then Instagram is Linda Downey Coaching. Facebook, I have a couple of business pages, and one is called Reinvent Your Life
Okay.
with Linda. Um, I think if you put in the search Linda Downey Coaching, it would come up. But Reinvent Your Life. Let me see if I can actually.
I think it is reinventing your life.
Inventing, is that what it is? It's been a while since I actually looked. So one is Linda Downey, Reinvent Your Life Coach. So I have two
Okay.
business pages. That's one, Linda Downey, Reinvent Your Life Coach. And the other one is, hold on, Linda Downey, Reinvent Your Life. Because I had one page going, and then I had a colleague who also had her page, and she decided to retire and just be a grandma. So I took over her page and we just changed the name. So that's why there's two pages with two slightly different names.
Okay, beautiful. And typically, what would you say? Of course, it's based on how your clients, what actions they are taking and how consistent they are when they're working with you. But what is the typical time that they see the results, your clients?
Well, some things show up right away. Like within the first week or two, people are like, "Oh my gosh, I see and feel a shift." It to really heal some things in their body can take, months. And again, like you said, like 3 months, 2 to 3 months of really consistently putting their intention and their focus on doing the tools every day. A lot of times people learn about the tools, but they're not implementing them with their body. So however long that takes is really the difference.
Yeah, I agree because it's not just the knowledge we are gaining, we have to apply that knowledge in order for our body to accept it. So, yeah, it's the applied.
Yeah, people say knowledge is power. Well, not in my opinion. Knowledge is just knowledge. The power comes when you actually take the knowledge and do something with it.
Exactly. Anything else you want to share before we wrap it up?
Just that I'm so pleased to be in the company of women like you and so many people. I think the world is in a shift where so many people are stepping up to say, I have something to offer that will make a difference. I know it makes a difference. And I love being in that community. I love being part of that shift. It feels better to be creating something rather than being the victim of something. And so I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on your forum and on your podcast and to know you. And I think we're both speaking. Are we not both going to Paris in March?
Yes, on Women's Day, right?
Yes. So, yes, on International Women's Day, we're both going to be in Paris, France, speaking at a global summit. And just being in the presence of all of that is really, really cool. So that's what I wanted to say and thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you so much for aligning with your dharma, with your purpose, and making an impact in people's life who are around you, and you coaching online, you are touching so many people's life across the seas. So continue to do that. May the universe, may God, may light, whatever you believe in, may love help you to continue to do those, take those actions so you can empower so many more women. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Linda.
Thanks, Aruna. My pleasure.